I'm CMaster51, and these are my Week 14 NFL predictions. Last week I went 10-6, and I am now 127, 66, and 1 on the year. Let's start off these Week 14 NFL predictions with the Thursday night game. First, we have Cowboys versus Lions. The Cowboys had an impressive win last week against the Chiefs when they pulled off the upset. And also they're playing better football lately. They won their last 3 games in a row, I believe. As for the Lions, I don't think they're as good this year as they were last year. Last year the Lions went 15-2 on the year, and now they're 7-5 on the year. And also, they're taking way too many risks when they're in scoring range. Like if they're ever in a 4th and 5 or 4th and whatever, other than 4th and inches, they should be kicking field goals, not going for it and not getting it. That's what ended up costing them last week against the Packers on Thanksgiving. So, and also, the Lions are 3-point favorites. And also, this is my first upset of Week 14. I'm going to pick the Cowboys to win this game. And well, the Lions will drop to the 10 seed in the NFC. And the Cowboys will be a game and a half behind the 49ers for the 7th seed. Okay, let's move on. Now let's move to the Sunday games. First, we have Bears versus Packers. Well, this is the game of the week right here. A huge NFC North showdown. You got the Bears at 9-3, and the Packers right behind them at 8-3-1. And the Packers this year are 3-0 in the NFC North. When last year they went 1-5 in the division. You know, since this game is in Lambeau, I'll go with the Packers to win this game. And also, I like how Jordan Love has been playing lately too. I feel like Matt LaFleur is finally letting Jordan Love sling the ball around. Okay, Commanders versus Vikings. Yeah, I don't think it matters who the Vikings quarterback is. I think the Commanders are still going to win this game. Especially after the near upset that they almost pulled off on Sunday night against the Broncos. And also, the Vikings are 1.5 to 2-point favorites in this game. So this will be my second upset of the week. Seahawks versus Falcons. This should be an easy winner for the Seahawks. And that'll give them their 10th win of the season. Saints versus Bucks. This should also be an easy win for the Bucks, as the Saints are one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. Rams versus Cardinals. The Rams were upset last week against the Panthers, but I think this week they bounce back and beat the Cardinals. And if they win, they're back in first place in the NFC West, and also the number 1 seed in the NFC. Okay, Dolphins versus Jets. You know, the Dolphins have won their last few games in a row. You know, after starting the season at 1-6, I believe, They won 4 out of their last 5. And you know what? I think they win against the Jets and get their 6th win of the season and keep their slim playoff hopes alive. They will be around 2.5 games behind the Bills for the 7th seed. Okay, Steelers versus Ravens. Aaron Rodgers got knocked out the last game against who did they play? Oh, the Bills. Yeah, he got knocked out last week against Bills. And I'm not sure if he's going to play in this game. I'm going to assume that he does. But I don't think they win against the Ravens. The Ravens finally lost last week too against the Bengals after having won their last 5 games in a row. But they should bounce back, and also that'll put the Ravens in the driver's seat in the AFC North. Yeah, they'll be the number 4 seed for now in the AFC. Colts versus Jaguars. You know, the Colts too, they lost last week against the Texans. And then you got the Jaguars, who are a much improved team from last season. You know, since this game is in Jacksonville, I'll go with the Jaguars to win this game. And just like the Ravens, they'll also be in the driver's seat in the AFC South. Okay, Titans versus Browns. These are 2 of the worst teams in the NFL right now. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans get their 2nd win of the season. You know, I'll give the Browns the benefit of the doubt and say that they win. Broncos versus Raiders. Well, the Broncos pulled off an overtime win against the Commanders last Sunday night when they made that stand in that 2-point conversion try. You know, they were kind of sloppy in that game, but I don't think it'll matter in this game. They should still win against the Raiders, who only have 2 wins on the season. And if the Broncos win, they will be the number 1 seed over the Patriots, who don't play this week. Bengals versus Bills. The Bengals upset the Ravens last week, with Joe Burrow finally coming back. But I don't think they upset the Bills this week, especially with the Bills desperately needing to win in order to get into the playoffs. Because even if the Bills win, they're still 2 games behind the Patriots right now in the AFC East. Okay, and for the Sunday night game, we have Texans versus Chiefs. Oh, and I called it last week when I said that the Texans were going to beat the Colts, and they actually did. And in the Chiefs, who knows if they're going to make the playoffs this year? Especially having lost to the Cowboys last week, and them only sitting at 6-6. You know, I am going to pick the Chiefs to win, but I'll say this. If they lose this week, I don't know if I should keep picking them, because I will admit, I feel like I tend to give the Chiefs a little too much credit, to be honest. We'll see what happens on this Sunday night. Okay, and for the Monday night game, we have Eagles versus the Chargers. The Eagles too, they lost to the Bears last Friday against the Bears. I think they go on the road and beat the Chargers and get a bounce back win. And that'll be the standings for now. Broncos as the 1, Patriots as the number 2 seed, Jags number 3, Ravens 4, Bills 5, 6 Colts, 7 Chargers, and 8 Chiefs, and 9 Texans on the outside looking in. As for the NFC, Rams 1, Packers 2, only a half game behind the Rams for the number 1 seed. 3 Eagles, 4 Bucks, 5 Seahawks, 6 49ers, and 7 Bears. With the Cowboys as on the outside looking in, and being a game and a half behind the Bears for the number 7 seed. Well, it looks like that's my NFL Week 14 predictions. Now let me know your predictions. See you all later.